it's my birthday. Yeah, so I'm older now. So I'm just going to have a wee self-indulgent video to do a bit of reminiscing. I'm going to talk about really whatever I feel like. Kind of starting off with my first guitar. See, I've got rid of all the guitars because this is kind of, if you go back 25 years, 24 years, this is kind of my guitar collection. Is the acoustic, the Epiphine SG and bass. Yeah, so first guitar, this is going to be quick, this is just a Blether, by the way. So, first guitar I got was a Honor Rockwood LX91, which is basically just a cheapy black, white scratch plate Strat. I got that when I was 17, some point during the summer, when I was 17, I think. Yeah, that'd be about right. Some point during the summer when I was 17. And the whole reason, all my pals had started playing the guitar like the year before. By this point I was mad into Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and the Stones and the Beatles. Hadn't yet found the Who, really. I think I might have had Who's Better, Who's Best. And AC/DC I didn't yet like, although had been at a few jam. One of my pals, Martin Gorman, used to play Highway to Hell on the acoustic, and I thought that was amazing. Didn't really like the records, but you know, all these things came in later on. Just maybe I'd seen Pompeii by this point, the Pink Floyd Pompeii, because I didn't like Pink Floyd because I never really understood why everyone loved it so much until I saw Pompeii, and then suddenly it just went, alright. So if you've not seen Pompeii, watch that. I don't know if it's on YouTube, bits of it probably are. A fantastic thing. Yeah, so my first guitar, the Black Strat, there was something wrong with the neck. Now I'm not sure exactly what was wrong. I think it might have been a back bow. It basically didn't play with the cowboy chords, it just buzzed. But luckily I was a mad into Black Sabbath, and my friend one weekend, the reason I decided to get a guitar the week before this, as I said, all my pals were playing the guitar, they would always play Stand By Me, and they were always really bad at it, and I just wasn't interested. And then my pal one time, he was over drinking, I suppose, probably, and get too drunk to take his guitar and his amp home, so he had a Marlin Sidewinder at the time, and a wee 10 watt Wasp in a Jam Jar amp with distortion on it, and he'd got a book out of the library called Black Sabbath, the Anthology, and I was sitting there the following Sunday, whatever it was, looking at it, going, yeah, we look at this, and it's like Tab. Like, that kind of makes sense. Was that just, and it was like, hold on. And I could play that, and it was like, how come, like, after having played the guitar for 3 minutes, I can actually play something that sounds good, that isn't, you know, which everyone else seemed to play. So following week, bought a guitar, paid £60, where my dad bought me, paid £60 for it, got it in Bishopbriggs, and it was knackered, so there was something wrong with the frets, but because I was playing all this Black Sabbath book, it was all pretty much power chords up here anyway, so I just learned to play power chords. So that was in the summer, and then round about Christmas time, my pal, who's actually already mentioned, Martin, was getting rid of his Yamaha RGX 321P, which was a Yamaha sort of like an Ibanez Gem type looky thing, you know, like an Ibanez RG, kind of pointy headstock, Floyd Rose humbucker, single humbucker, and this is still at the point I didn't realise that there was standard tuning. I didn't know you could tune. I just tuned to somebody else's guitar whenever we were at their house. I just tuned to whatever their guitar, whoever was most in tune. Didn't know you could get such things as tuners. It was all done by like that, and you know, things you don't think about these days. So I had this thing, and because it's a Floyd Rose, if anyone's ever had their first guitar as a Floyd Rose, it probably doesn't suit the same as it is now, because now you can watch videos on how to set these things up. The bridge was either at 45 degrees up like this, or it was sunk into the body. It was never, basically I could never really work it. So that was my Christmas about 95. Christmas 95. So in January 96, 25 years ago to this very day, I decided I was going to buy an acoustic, and I wanted to buy a good one because I've been playing the guitar for 6 months now, so I was really into getting spend £150, get a good one, you know, not buy a sort of £90 one. So I went into McCormick's, and tried every guitar they had between like £100 and £200 or whatever the price range was, 100 and 250, and basically I wasn't brilliant on the guitar, but every one I just went, and this one was the loudest, and it's been my acoustic ever since, even though I've not really played it for much in the last decade, but this was always my acoustic. And actually, I took in that the black and white Strat, with the knackered neck on it. This is McCormick's in town, and I was like, I'd trade this in, and I was thinking, right, as long as I get 20 quid for it, the guy's like, 60 quid. It's like, Pwah. So 60 quid off this. I think this was 180, maybe something like that. So £120 cash I paid on my 18th birthday. Yeah, so that was my 18th birthday, and so at that point I had the Yamaha RGX and this, and then a few months later started jamming with my pal Robert, who had left the Marlin Sidewinder, and we were playing sort of a jam, sort of a band. We were called Fud Patch, which was meant to be funny. I don't know where that came from. And we used to play, the first song we ever played was maybe muted. It was Hurdy-Gurdy Man by Donovan, and other ones that came in, and he bought he was raving about buying this new guitar. He was doing a proper guitar, and he bought an Epiphone Les Paul Gold Top for 400 quid, and I didn't like it, and I think maybe that's why I'm still not a fan of Les Pauls. It didn't, something wrong, I just didn't like that guitar. But the Epiphone was like, that was the thing, you know, you buy an Epiphone, that was what I was told was the best guitars you can get, like without buying a real Gibson sort of thing, which I suppose was probably sort of true. So we'd be jamming away, playing this, and then on my 19th birthday, I bought my SG, which I will, yeah. Actually, I dug this out the other day just for reasons. So I bought this in a shop called Victor Morris in Glasgow. This was the one I wanted, because at this point I knew Tony Iommi played an SG, and it was like, that's the one, and Robbie Krieger at the Doors played an SG, and blah blah blah, and everyone, the Beatles, I'd seen the Paperback Writer video, and the Who at the Isle of Wight, and everyone cool just seemed to play an SG. Plus it looked really cool. Plus it was half the price of the Les Paul, which my pal had, which I didn't like. But at this point I was under the impression that, you know, it's got to have a set neck. A bolt-on neck's rubbish, because obviously the cheap SG, the one at half the price, was the 310, I think it was called. It was and the same with the Les Paul Special was bolt on, so it was like, pure, the thing was, you need to have a set neck, so I bought the set neck one. The one I wanted was in Merchant City Music, and it was 250 quid, and the same guitar was in Victor Morris for 225. So even though I couldn't stand the guy who worked in Victor Morris, the guy who sold me it, I remember going in, I'd already tried the one in Merchant City, so I knew that was the one I wanted. I'd gone to Sound Control and it was the same price or whatever. I like Merchant City because the guys in it were really nice. And I went into thing, and I was like, try to get a shot of the Epiphone SG. Is like, the shit one? I was like, right, oh God, here we go. This guy, for some, I don't know why he hated me. He wasn't, I don't know what it was that he didn't like about me. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll try that. He's like, you should buy this one, and he was showing me an Ibanez Ghost Rider, which, let's be honest, did look fantastic. But being 19 and having 250 quid to buy a guitar with, trying to sell me one at 450 is a stupid move, because there was no way I could. Basically, it was like, well, either buy, I can't buy this. You know, I'll come back in 6 months once I've saved up another 200 quid. So I ended up buying this off him. I've obviously upgraded the pickup since then. Actually, I think I might have had the bass first, did I have the bass? I went out of order. Yeah. Anyway, so in Victor Morris, the same shop, or not? No, it wasn't. It was the shop just along from Victor Morris. It was called the Guitar Store, which was owned by Victor Morris. Anyway, I bought my pal. I was in a band called the Comfy Chair. We used to play covers. We used to play the current single at the time that was sort of going about was Blur Song 2, and that was like pure. Actually, I didn't really dislike it that much because it was sort of, it wasn't pure lightweight like what I thought all modern music was. I actually quite liked Song 2 when it came out. We played that the first time in the studio. I was playing the bass. My first bass was a Westtone Spectrum DX, which I bought off somebody. I think I paid 30 quid for it or something like that. It was a red one, and I hated it. It was rubbish. It was a bass though, so I was going into the studio. It had a bass. I might have even borrowed it. I think I was actually in a band playing bass when I didn't actually own a bass. I think I'd borrowed it for a couple of weeks, and then eventually I bought it. Well, 2 weeks later, and I was never really that happy with it. My pal Michael went to America for a couple of weeks, and he came back with a Jackson Kelly, a rat pedal, and I can't remember what else, but because he had the Jackson Kelly guitar, I saw that in Victor Morris for 80 quid, and I thought, that's cool, because I was well impressed with Michael's one. So this was my Aria ZZB or ZZB, which probably rhymes better. There's a wee bit of a story going with that as well, and that was basically my guitar collection. Up until that point, and then after the Comfy Chair, I started a band called Forum, which was me, as in Malcolm, Mo, Michael, and Martin. So it was like 4 M's, pretty good. And I was going to play guitar in it, this guitar, and it worked out that I was the only one that could really play the bass, so I ended up playing the bass instead. And we were playing Beatles songs, Stones songs, and at the time that bass for me was like pure, this is like a pure 80s spiky metal thing, and it didn't fit that at all. I was in a band called Burnt Skin in the middle somewhere where I used to use that bass. I used to sing. I was a singer in it. It was like we used to play Remedy by the Black Crowes and Paranoid, and I'm not sure there was really anything else we used to play. Yeah, so I traded that in against my Epiphone EBO, which did me for a few years until I had a shot of a P bass and I realised the Epiphone EBO is not really a very good bass, or the one I had wasn't very good, whether it was badly set up or it just wasn't very good. I remember having the tuning pegs used to rattle, and I had to had things wedged, you know, the elephant ear tuners. I don't have any lying about. There's like a big bit that sits in the top. It kind of rattled in the actual tuner, so I had bits of a plectrum stuck in it to stop it rattling and all this. And then I joined the band Carnival, and I played that for the first wee bit, and then I got a shot of a P bass off the drummer's pal or something like that, and it was just like, right, get one of these. That was the it was a Squire, and I thought, right, a Squire, just a cheap P bass there, so they're only like 120 quid, so it's like per plate going, this is much better than the Epiphone. So thinking, after a couple of weeks I decided to try and buy it off the guy. I was like, aye, so 120, I'll give you like 60 quid for it. And the guy's like, no, I wouldn't take less than 400. And I'm like, what? For a Squire? Turns out it was actually a Squire JV, which is, I know now is like a Japanese one, so it's like Japanese vintage. Probably was worth 400 quid, or maybe not 400 quid, but worth something like that. You know, it was like an expensive, same as an American Fender, basically, not really a Squire. I did find that out when I went in and tried a Squire P bass, and it was like, oh, this isn't like the other one. So I saved up and traded in. What did I trade it in against? I think I might have just sold that cash to Merchant City for 60 quid. I remember getting 60 quid for it. But I can't remember what guitar it was I bought in Merchant City. Might have been my amp. It would be my amp. I bought originally I was running on when I bought that first, this is just a total rabble. First amp was a Badger, which everyone I know had owned at one point, which everyone bought for a tenner and sold for a tenner. It was like just a wee 10 watt thing. Like a volume and a tone, didn't have distortion on it, which is like, you didn't know about pedals back then, so I just wanted one with distortion on it. I bought a wee Philipston, which is basically like your BB Blaster type thing. Used that, traded that in against the... No, I traded that in against EBO. Of course I did, I already said that. But I had a Laney GC30, which was actually a pretty good amp. It was quite big for the size of it. I think it had a 12-inch speaker in it. That was good. We got volume yet? The tuner's on it. After the band Forum, my pal G started playing the bass, and about 3 weeks later, after he learned how to play something on the bass, we turned ourselves into a band called G-Rock, and I moved on to playing this guitar. And then I bought the Gibson SG 6 months later, and then that's kind of, these are the guitars I've still got. This bass, as I said, I traded it in, got 60 quid for it in '98. I think I seem to remember the serial number on my Epiphone was 9800000008, because it was the first one in the UK, or the first one in Scotland anyway. Because I pre-ordered it before I'd even played it, because I loved this guitar and I just wish you could get an SG bass, because I thought SGs were the coolest things ever, and at the time you couldn't get SG basses. Gibson didn't make them, nobody else made copies of them. You could buy, I suppose, like if you were lucky enough to find these things second hand, Japanese ones or something like that, but this is pre-internet. And it's like it's hard to think going back what kids have got now, where you just look up and you can see videos of all these guitars being played. You know what they all are, you can look up pictures of them. Back then, the only way you could find out anything about guitars was to go into the shops and see what they had. Or you could buy magazines, which I never really bought because they were like a $5, and it was like, I was buying a bottle of Bucky for a $5 instead. So I never owned about 3 guitar magazines, and even then when you did buy one, it was all full of expensive guitars, and it's like, these aren't ones I'm interested in. I'm never, I'm still at uni and stuff like that. I'm £200 my sort of max for getting what I would class as still is a sort of giggable pro level guitar. So the plan of this was I was going to have some sort of jam using all the things, sort of using all my original guitars. So I'll just play something on the acoustic. I've since fitted a while ago I fitted an electroacoustic thing into this, so I should be able to just put a backing track in using this. I don't really want to get a copyright strike, so I'll just play something random and then just play over the top of it, the sort of thing that I would normally have played. I'll play an A minor though, because that used to be my favourite chord. That's just some some chords starting in A minor. I'll move on to my. But could still possibly be. This was the biggest regret ever, was trading in this bass. It wasn't until after I'd get rid of the EBO and I started. Actually, as I said there, I shot of a P bass. It reminded me of this because it's a longer scale, and it's got. Basically, it's just a better. It's just a better instrument. I never thought there was much point in the two pickups though, which because one pickup sounded pretty good and the other one just sounded rubbish. It was kind of useless, and yeah. So I'd sold this, and then after I got my Schecter P bass, which is my expensive one, I've still got that as well. I started looking for another one of these. Victor Morris did have one about 5 years after I sold mine, but it was only 80 quid, but it had a rosewood fingerboard. I like the maple fingerboard. So I didn't buy it. And then years later I started getting into Matsumoku, Japan, guitars, once I got into Washburns and stuff. I started thinking, that Aria Pro I had was a Japanese one. The reason I thought it was so good is because it was a really good bass. It wasn't just, I didn't just like it, it's because it was really good. And then so I kept looking for them, and I kept seeing them, and they were coming up at like 400 quid and stuff like that. But none of them had the maple fretboard. So I'll get one day. And then one day actually it was the same day that there's an Andertons video where the Captain and Chapman bought the equivalent versions of what their first guitars were, and I was watching the two of them being totally over the moon, and the Chapman had it was a Yamaha RGX thing, and he got the Captain couldn't find him, it was a banana yellow one he had, couldn't find him, and it was a black one, and he's playing, this has been amazing, remember this is fantastic. And then he pulled out, he'd actually ordered a yellow one, got it from France or something, and his face was just lighting up and stuff, and I was like, and then honestly it was that night that I saw this on Facebook. And it was like, right, 150 quid. It was like, okay, that looks very like mine. And then Legend Instructions says, yeah, there's a few extra holes in the bottom here, screw holes, which I can't really explain. And it was like, I can explain that, because when I had this, it would just be really annoying in the studio because you couldn't stand it up against the wall when we were in rehearsal studios. So I'd put like a spike, kind of like a bike stand in it. I don't know what it was, some sort of bracing thing screwed into the bottom, and it was like, yeah, that's what those screw holes are, that's mine. And I went round, and like I was totally in tears when I saw it, because it was like, I even remember there was a few some of the dents. I remember it's got damage here, if I can get the light right. For one night I was hitting the bass with a drumstick thinking that was a good thing, and I've chipped all of it. It's this one. So for 20 years I didn't have it, and the guy kept it in much better condition than I think I probably would have. It's basically in the same condition it was when I got it. And what I said about the pickup, one of the pickups, there's not really any point in having two pickups. Well, one of them didn't work. So what happens when you put it onto the other pickup? Some of it was the bridge pickup that worked, the neck pickup didn't work, and some of the signal was bleeding through the switch, so it was basically coming through at about a 10th volume. So I only ever had a bridge pickup. I've still not managed to get another neck pickup. I've now swapped over, so the one that works is the neck pickup. The pickup switch doesn't do anything, it's disconnected. So I'm still after one of these pickups. Actually, not that long ago, just November or something like that, I bought an Aria bass really cheap, on a jet black one, the active one. It's got these pickups in it, and I got it for the sort of price that I would easily pay for the pickup to replace this. It's just unfortunately that Aria bass turned out to be really good as well, so if I took a pickup out of that, it wouldn't have a pickup. So this one's still sitting with one pickup. If anyone knows when I can get, if anyone's got one of these, I want one. I actually asked a guy in Glasgow to get how much it would cost to get it rewound, and he charged, said 80 quid, and it was like, right, well, no, I'm quite happy just having the one pickup, that's fine. I've used this in the Black Sabbath band quite a few times. It's really good, it's a 32-inch scale. So and the first thing I ever played on the bass was and then suddenly the bass made sense to me. said my pal Michael had the Jackson Kelly. One of the things that we two of us used to stand and rest. You can sort of, with an Explorer, you can sort of, you rest your hands on it. I must have had it much higher up than that. But you sit there and you rest your hands on it like this. It was just like, me and him used to do that. The two of us were in that band, Bird Skin. The two of us would have the spiky guitars. Great fun. And originally this one, these aren't the right knobs, but these are the knobs that were on it when I had it, the gold ones, and also it shouldn't have this poker chip rhythm treble switch on it, which mine did have because this used to be my bass. So when it comes down to favourite guitars, even though I didn't have this for 20 years, of the last 25 years, I've only owned this for 5 of them. It's got everything that I want in a bass. It's a slightly shorter scale. It's got a one-piece maple neck. It's only got one pickup just now, but it's a turquoise burst. Fantastic thing. Good tuners. I always remember that when I bought it, it was missing a screw in the back. This is when I bought this. I was like, I'm sure it's mine. I'm sure it's mine. And it's like all these things just kept adding up to it being definitely mine. And just one of the neck bolts was missing, and the one that I put in was gold. It's still gold. So thanks to the guy who looked after this. He said he actually played it on stage. It's at Bloodstock at one point. I think he was maybe in quite a big band. So it's actually been gigged, not by. Whoa. No, I think I did gig it. I think we gigged in the comfy chair, and I think I had this bass. Yeah. So just reminiscing. So 25 years ago, whatever it was, I bought that. And it's still awesome. I should never have sold it. I kind of wish I hadn't sold the Westone Spectrum, just because I know, now that I like Westones, I know it must have been good, but there was something wrong with it. The neck must have been twisted, or I never changed the strings on it, so the strings must have been ancient or something, there was something wrong with it. Or maybe it was just the look, I just didn't like the look of it. I don't know, I might have... I pushed rules on it at one point. And just to say, it's absolute night and day between this and what Epiphone are currently making. I'm sorry, I'm not that sorry, but I had a shot of an Epiphone, a green one, during the summer there. My pal Chrissy bought one, and I made him take it back because the frets were really bad. But the guitar itself was nothing compared to this one. This is a 90 S6, so 96. I bought it in January 97 on my 19th birthday, and the pickups in it were pretty bad. I think, well, these ones were much better. These are P90 sized ones, but it really is night and day to even the ones that came out after this. I remember playing one, I can't remember who it was that had it, like maybe 2 or 3 years after I bought this one, and it was like, this isn't my guitar. You know, it was like I had a shot of it. It was like, oh, it's the same as mine. I've got one of these. And it was like, oh no, I don't. This is not. It's just nothing like it. So vastly superior to modern Epiphones, and that modern Epiphone one, the green one, it looked better than this. It looked amazing, but at P90s in it. But just the wood, the finish, everything was just a tenth as good. So there is a bit of a. You see people going on about, oh, it's like one of the. I think having the Gibson truss rod cover. It's one of the things that kind of tells you which one it is. The Samick ones are much better than what followed. So there's a wee bit of a, if you're buying an Epiphone SG, you wonder why some of them are a little bit more expensive. I think I paid £225 for this new. I think it's probably still worth £225, especially with the upgraded pickups. But I mean, it's kind of, people are cutting on these things with the internet. You know, people can actually look them up and see what the difference is. When, at the time when I had this, I bought the Gibson one, which is just out of shot there. I took all the guitars off the wall for some reason. And this played much better than the Gibson, but the Gibson had the Gibson pickups in it, so it sounded better. Also, the Gibson really needed the truss rod adjusted, and it wasn't for a couple of years until I actually got the right spanner and knew what a truss rod was to actually sort that. And the Gibson one said Gibson on it, so not knowing anything, I was like, oh, Gibson, boss, it must be good. It must be good, it must be a better guitar just because it says Gibson on it, even though it didn't play anything like as good. And this one just did. And I never set it up or anything like that. It was just by chance. I know Victor Morris wouldn't have set it up. So this one must have just been by chance well set up, or somebody, maybe one of the guys in the shop was playing it and fidgeting about with to make it work. Fantastic guitars. I'll never sell this one. I've maybe thought about selling it, many years ago, but now I'm sitting here now. If I've had it for 24 years, it's like, well, I'll just keep it. And it's, as far as modern guitars go, a long time ago. It's kind of really feeling quite old actually, just think about it. Well, partly because it's my birthday. I went and bought lots of sweeties and stuff. I bought a bucky to treat myself, because obviously there's no parties, can't have anyone round, can't do anything. I was talking to Civic last night, and the screen froze, so I screen captured just to be annoying. Hi Civic, I put a picture up of you just to annoy you, because I know you don't like having your photo put on the internet, especially when it didn't get to stage. I tried taking photos of Civic before, and it's like, everyone's like, "You're ready for photo, and you should do this." And you're like, yeah, well, don't put your hair in front of your face, you could just be me then. Yeah, so that was a big long one. Sorry I'm not going to bother putting any adverts on this one. I don't think anyone will watch it, but it's a wee sort of reference. Maybe in the future, once 100 years time, once everyone's dead and stuff like that, you get a wee bit of a view into, oh, who was that guy? Just like a mad snippet of somebody's birthday during the great pandemic years. Also, like thinking like say baby metal. I wasn't into baby metal then. That's because none of baby metal were even born. Right, okay. And actually, out of all my guitars, I don't know. I'm just looking about all the ones I can see. The Variacs, possibly that the Yamaha, the AEX, didn't exist when I bought this guitar. Whereas every other guitar I've got pretty much was already 10 years old or whatever it was by the time I got this. And 96. Well, now this is now a vintage. You know, like things only have to be 20 years old to be actually properly vintage. So I've actually got vintage guitars that I bought new. Same with something like that acoustic. That acoustic's actually really good. I was really enjoying playing it. It sounded really good when I plugged it in as well, which I was really surprised about. I think I never really saw the point in the electroacoustic thing when I was at the time when I was starting out, because everyone had like a wee 10 watt amp or something, and when you stick an electroacoustic into a 10 watt amp, it doesn't really. You have to have it up really loud so you can actually even hear it. Whereas I'm playing through. Well, I played through that lady, but I'm playing through a 3x12 cabinet, so it's got some girth to give to it, rather than being, just like a sort of tinny, waspy sound. It actually adds to it rather than just making some elements of it louder. But I suppose the first song I ever played, I'll just. And actually, I'll tell you, the first solo I could ever play was for a song called Tomorrow's Dream, which only relatively recently, when I say relatively recently, I now mean over a year ago, when I was in the Sabbath band, we started playing it again. That was the first guitar solo I could ever play all the way through. Paranoid would not in tune anymore. I say it's not in tune, just playing the wrong notes. So now I'm kind of back to playing that on the bass. Once Craig the guitarist starts playing it like that, I'll do it. But I'm kind of doing that background now. Rock on! And if you've got this far, well done. Catch you later. Back to normal tomorrow. I'm now waiting for. I've mentioned this. I've already said goodbye, but I'll keep going anyway. The EB6 project I was talking about, the one that I put a metal plate on, it was turning out kind of an old Avon EBO into a 6-string bass. Got it already, and I was moaning all week saying that I'd ordered strings. I'd ordered 3 or 4 things on the internet, and I knew that the strings were going to be the last ones to come, because those were the ones I was actually waiting for. Everything else was I just bought acoustic strings just anyway, and a few bits for the angle grinder and stuff like that. But the strings were the things I was really waiting for. So I was moaning about it, and then on Friday night I was like, I'll have a look and see when they're due to be delivered. I'd never actually ordered them. I just put them in the basket and hadn't actually clicked on them. So I apologise to anybody. I wasn't really slagging off any particular company, but the fact that I hadn't got my acoustic baritone bass strings was because I hadn't actually ordered them. So I've now ordered them on Friday. They didn't come today, so maybe the earliest they could possibly really comes tomorrow, but I don't know. I'd like to get that working. I keep looking at it. I had it hanging on the wall up until 10 minutes before I did this video. I think I'll move everything around and I keep meaning to try and rotate the guitars that are on the wall like every week, just because I might as well. Just give me a chance to look at some different ones. So I'll leave that one up for a couple of weeks, and I'll dig out some other interesting ones just to make it. It was all Strats. I'd all Strats up last week, so I think I might do all black guitars. I don't like black guitars very much. I think I've probably got enough. I mean, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7. I don't know if I've got 7 black guitars. No, I'll probably do actually. I'm going to use basses. I've got the Aria, the Music Master, the bass wall, and then I've got the Metal Master, the but probably not that interesting watching me think about that. Rock on, catch you later, stay safe, and happy birthday to me.